Okay, here we go. Hey guys, my name is Steve, and I am 2 days away from getting my discectomy surgery. I have a herniated disc between my L4 and L5 vertebrae. I wanted to make this video, hopefully that somebody can come across it that may be trying to figure out what's wrong with them, who might relate to my story. I also found in my own adventures trying to see what could explain what's happening to me, that it helped to be able to find people who are my same range physically, my age, height, and weight, and kind of those particular characteristics helped me kind of identify with what I could expect in my own kind of journey. So at any rate, a little bit about me. I am 6'4", weigh about 210 pounds, and I'm fairly athletic. CrossFit is my sport, and I enjoy doing some weightlifting, just strict 5x5 style weightlifting on the side. So I've been doing that for the past, 3 or 4 years, been totally injury-free for the vast majority of it. This is the first time in my life that I've ever had something quite like this, an injury that is serious enough that it requires, somewhat invasive surgery. And for me, it all kind of started, it initially began in May. And I believe that it is something that I've kind of developed over the last maybe year or so. I changed jobs from a fairly busy on my feet environment to a work at a desk and sit in front of a computer for the last year. And I have poor posture already as it is. Being taller, I always hunch over wherever I go, whether that be at my desk or whether that be in the house. And so sitting down and not moving as much as I used to has created a situation where I am constantly hunched over. And I think that kind of began this process. And then back in May of this year, so it's October 11th now, and around May 5th, I was stretching and I felt something go in my back, and the pain was crazy. But after about 10 minutes, that pain went away. Kind of figured I must have just pulled a muscle. No big deal. I'll just, take it easy for a day or two and see what happens. And a few days later, I was lifting a heavy plate, and I felt that exact same pain, like kind of streak through my back. And I was like, that wasn't good. That kind of really hurt. And so I was like, okay, I'll take another break for a few more days and see if this kind of goes away. And so I did. I took it easy for about 2 weeks, and I felt weak in my back, but I didn't feel a lot of pain. And so I kind of got back to my normal routine after about a couple of weeks of recovery. And then I started to get a little bit of pain in my hip, which was strange. I didn't immediately connect the two together. I didn't think, okay, this initial thing that happened in May is what's causing my hip to hurt. And so that's what kind of made me start to think that something else, maybe something a little more sinister, was going on. So I went to see a doctor. It got to the point where the pain was enough that I was getting concerned, and it was all in my leg and in my glute. My left butt was not happy. And so I saw my doctor in the middle of June, and he initially thought it might be my SI joint. And so, that's the tricky thing with hips, is that sciatic pain that can come from your hip can be a lot of different things. And so we went down the SI joint route. I saw a physical therapist. That turned out to be a waste of time and money. It was nowhere near what my physical therapist was expecting to happen. And so he was confused, and that didn't go anywhere. So I went back to my doctor. He thought, well, if it's not that, maybe it's my piriformis. Went and got that looked at. I had a doctor tell me that, no, it's not my piriformis. It's probably my hips. They did an x-ray on me. It was the first time I got imaged. It was about a month after I actually complained about the pain. Got the imaging done, and my doctor said I had hip dysplasia, which is actually a genetic issue that is far more serious and would require some kind of hip surgery in the future when I'm older. And that was, of course it's something like that. It's got to be something like that. But it still didn't make sense. And so I was kind of at the edge of my rope, kind of end of the line, and I was thinking, okay, if it's hip dysplasia, let's look into that. If that's what it is, that's what it is. But it can't be all it is for me. And so what I ended up doing was I went to see a chiropractor that I I'd known from years ago. I trusted him, and he did a herniated disc test with my leg, and immediately I was failing each one of those tests, and it was quick. He saw me for 5 minutes, and by the end of that, he was like, "You're showing every single sign that there is that you have a herniated disc in your back." And I'd done the internet research, and I'd spent hours over the internet trying to figure out what this pain was, and I kept coming back to a herniated disc, but my doctors before that were just like, "You're young, it doesn't seem like that could be the issue, let's keep going down a different road." And so my advice is, if you're listening and you're watching this right now, if this story at all matches your story, do what you can as fast as you can to get an MRI, because that was my tipping point. I got an MRI done on September 1st. So if I started this in, let's say, mid-June, it took me 2.5 months to get an MRI. And that's 2.5 months where I could be recovering right now and, a totally different place. But that's not my story. My story had me wait a little bit longer. Got my MRI done. You could tell immediately that it was my back. I'm not a radiologist. I don't read MRIs. I can't tell you exactly what was wrong, but you could just see that one of these things was not like the rest. And so sure enough, I took that back to my chiropractor the next day, and he was like, "It's pretty obvious here." He referred me on to another doctor, a neurosurgeon, who I could actually begin to kind of go down the path of my options. But he also got me in contact with a clinic in the area, a spine one out here, that I could start to go through my conservative treatment. And it's important, at least for my insurance, that I show a process, that I tried the conservative efforts, the conservative methods before jumping right into surgery. And anybody, especially if you're like me and not super excited about surgery and the recovery time, I was really, really psyched, and I felt like for sure these conservative methods were going to work. And so they got my MRI done on September 1st. By September, I would say 3rd or 4th, so it was right after, the pain was starting to really go downhill. And so I was just physically doing a lot worse. I was having trouble sleeping at night, and I was gung-ho for the conservative treatment right up until that point. Once I couldn't sleep, I quickly lost my will to do things that were slow. And so I talked to a doctor and my neurosurgeon, and he suggested that I go ahead and sign up for my first round of epidural steroid injections, which I'm sure many of you who are watching this now and either aren't getting a surgery done or on that path are considering or know about these ESIs. And so I got my first one done, and like they predict, the anesthesia from where they put the shot in felt great. I thought, awesome. For the first time in months, I could bend at the waist. I was like, this is it. I'm going to, feel great, and then we'll go from there. And that lasted about maybe 48 hours before the pain was back. And every single time the pain came back, it was getting worse. And so the pain in my left leg and in my glute and then my calf was now moving down to my foot. And I had pain on top of my foot. I have persistent pain in my calf. And that was to get to the point where it was really affecting my walking, my gait. You have to wait 2 weeks after one epidural shot is done for the second one. And so I was pretty bummed that the first one didn't work, and I quickly wanted to get surgery, at least on the calendar. I didn't know how long it was going to take from the point where my doctor said I could get surgery to when it would actually get officially scheduled. And so it became important to me to kind of get that taken care of. And so I probably talked to 4 or 5 different doctors, spent a fortune in copays and these things, kind of getting it done. But I learned a lot, and I learned that it does take a little while to get on a surgeon's schedule if you're not showing certain symptoms like foot drop, or you have some of the severe emergency symptoms of a herniated disc. And for me, that was pretty depressing because my pain was significant. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to just jump into pain meds, and I didn't want to ask for pain meds because they weren't being offered. But my ibuprofen regimen was getting up to between 1,600 and 2,400 milligrams a day. I was feeling like this has got to be just destroying my body. Just the ibuprofen amount alone, I've been doing that since May. And now that the pain was getting to the point where it was just hard to deal with, eventually I did break down and I had to ask my doctor for something stronger. And that's something where, I don't know, you can take it any way you want to. They gave me a Norco drug that helped a little. I'm in the window now between, there's about a 10-day window where you go from your pre-op and then your surgery where you can't take any ibuprofen. And that has been by far just the worst 7 days so far of this whole process. My body trying to keep the pain away without the anti-inflammatories. And if you have a herniated disc, you know that this pain is really tricky to get rid of, especially in a way that leaves you as a functioning human. And so I've been fighting with that the past few days. But the Norco helped, and helped me get to where I am now. But now we're here on the kind of the eve of surgery, and I am just counting down the moments till it happens. So if you're watching and you're kind of where I am, or you are trying to figure out what pain you have and what it means, my advice is just stick with it. Like get an image if you can, get an MRI. It's worth it. If it makes so much more sense. Putting a face on this beast made everything to me, and now it's just a matter of sticking with it. Like, get through it. Now is the dog days. You gotta kind of fight through the pain and then hopefully get there. So I wanted to make this video kind of pre-surgery so that I could give kind of a post-surgery video afterwards, and then have kind of this after surgery influence. So I have no idea what the surgery is going to be like. I'm very, very optimistic about it. I think my surgeon is fantastic. I can't wait to see the results from it, and I very much anticipate to be able to walk and be back up on my feet very soon. And I am just dying to have that pain in my leg gone. I can't wait to wake up and then that just not be there anymore. So I hope that's what I can report in a few days. We'll see, but I'll definitely follow up with another video then. And yeah, this is, I guess, where the real adventure starts. So check back soon.